What will Ivan start this episode with? Well, I was recently on another podcast that I want to tell you about. I had the pleasure of sitting down with Nick Church of the Take Him to Church podcast. He will be a guest on our next episode, so keep those ears peeled for that. The logo of his show is an intense cartoon tiger looking like it's about to eat you, and that's how you'll know it's the right one. He started a podcast to share human experiences and life stories so that listeners may find relatability, inspiration, and connection in the human experience. Check it out, and listen to your boy on episode 9 for some content about my story and the why of our show here in NoCo. Welcome to the More You NoCo. I am your host, Ivan Wayne. Come on, listener, it's Turtle Mountain time. Today we will hear from two featured guests. Natalie and Hannah are two sisters representing Turtle Mountain Fermentory. I was able to sip on a flight of 7 delicious kombucha options during our recording. Let me tell you, those are some excellent fermented drinks. You'll have to wait to hear my favorite flavor that I mentioned during the episode. Do not let this podcast be your only Turtle Mountain exposure. Get in their tap room and try it for yourself. Tell them the More You NoCo sent you. Here they are, Natalie and Hannah DeSanto. Hello, listeners. Welcome back to the More You NoCo. I sit here with two guests today. That is Hannah DeSanto and Natalie DeSanto. So first, welcome and hello.
Hello. Thank you for having us on your show today.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
So for listeners, what are you two representing today?
We're representing Turtle Mountain Fermentory, a kombucha company and fermented veggie company in Fort Collins, Colorado. We have Fort Collins' first kombucha tap room where we have 7 rotating flavors of kombucha on tap all the time. We also serve custom blend hot teas, and we have house-made fermented veggies.
And one of my first questions was, I noticed that you all did fermented, so I get kombucha, right? I'm a big kombucha fan. But then I noticed you said you do all fermented drink and food. So maybe some listeners are here with me on this, but what foods are fermented?
So a lot of people don't realize this, but sauerkraut traditionally is raw fermented. So that is just cabbage and salt, and then we make 2 flavors of that. We do an apple and caraway and a garlic and onion. So that's great addition to sandwiches, hot dogs. We do it on avocado toast. We also do a raw fermented kimchi, which we put beets in, so it's bright pink. It's got a little bit of fire to it. It's kind of like probiotic salsa. And we add that to tacos and eggs and all sorts of things that you would normally put hot sauce on, but it's got those live probiotics. We also do raw fermented pickles and veggie medleys, which are great for snacking. Kids love them, and I just eat them out of the bag.
One of the things about fermented vegetables is that they are also home to probiotics similar to kombucha. I like to call them probiotic cousins. So kombucha has certain specific strains of probiotics, and then you'll find different strains of probiotics, but similar in the fermented vegetables as well. So when you're consuming both the fermented vegetables along with the kombucha, you're really going to be getting a diverse microbiome, which is the most healthy way to keep your digestive system.
Okay, so the next time I have a brat and people look at my plate and judge me for the amount of sauerkraut I have now dumped onto this brat, I can now say, hey, I have probiotic effects here. Lay off.
Exactly.
As long as it's Turtle Mountain sauerkraut.
Oh.
And your digestive system will thank you later. To piggyback on what Natalie said, you'll want to read the labels of kimchis and sauerkrauts because they need to be raw and live fermented. Once you heat up or cook any of these fermented foods, you're going to kill the probiotic content. So if you're adding, it is interesting, and it's something that not everybody knows. So every once in a while, I'll forfeit the probiotic content for flavor and throw a bag of sauerkraut into a soup or stew, but it's certainly better to put it on as a cool topping. If you're putting it on hot food, it won't immediately kill the probiotics. You have the time to still get the health benefits there, but heating it up and cooking it is not ideal for consumption.
Okay, the more you know. I had no idea.
Exactly.
So what brought both of you to start Turtle Mountain?
one winter in 2012, I got the flu once, bronchitis twice, and strep throat twice.
Good year.
Yes, very great year for me. I went to the doctor and I took all the medicines that the doctor gave me and nothing worked. So finally I started doing research into my own body and into holistic health. And I found medicinal teas and herbs through that. And I got really involved in teas and through that discovered kombucha and started brewing kombucha at home 7 years ago now. And then began taking it to the farmer's market 5 years ago. And the community really enjoyed my product. And so we started at one farmer's market, then started doing 2 farmer's markets. Now we do 5 farmer's markets a week during the summer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we've just grown through support of our community and demand for a delicious and healthy kombucha. We discovered our fermented foods through using like unsold products at the farmer's market. If there was leftover cabbage, I would take it and ferment it. So just kind of grassroots, never really anticipated it getting so successful, but really happy that it did. And yeah, it was just a passion for a healthy lifestyle and seeing it work in my own body and wanting to share that knowledge with others.
And what Natalie is not mentioning right now is that on the 15th of February, just a couple days from now, will be our 5-year anniversary from when she signed her first LLC. So we're very, very excited about that.
And March 10th is our 1-year party for having our tap room open.
Yes, it is, and it's going to be a fun party, so you listeners should definitely come visit.
Yeah, let's plug that. So what is that, March 1st?
We're going Saturday, March 9th will be our
9th.
1-year anniversary at the tap room. So we'll be doing all sorts of fun festivities that day with lots of information on Facebook and Instagram as it gets a little bit closer.
There's going to be raffles, free kombucha for the first couple people, and we're really excited about it.
So before the tap room opened, you all were just distributing through stores, or how did that work?
So Natalie started with brewing and at the farmers markets, and from there we saw the demand for having a non-alcoholic, health-centered beverage, kombucha, as a option in restaurants. So she was going and wholesaling, bringing samples into accounts, really grassroots, following up with emails, and that's how we built our wholesale business. It started with about, obviously, just one client, and it's grown now into 65 plus clients across the Front Range. We're centered in Fort Collins as our largest area, but we're in many of the towns around. Once we were doing the farmers markets, the biggest feedback that we received was that our customers didn't have a place to fill their growlers over the winter. So every summer, they're filling their growler every week, and Natalie was doing some home delivery options when we'd pick up the bottles and exchange them. But the dream was to always have our own space. So that's how the taproom idea started. We always knew we wanted to have a location and an area where we would have an office as well as our production center. And it had been in our minds and as a process for a very long time before we actually got it started. But now we're 1 year strong with the tap room. We have our production area in the back, as well as our corporate headquarters here too.
Oh, mighty official.
Very.
So how did Natalie begin convincing you to get into Turtle Mountain?
Well, I had always been available over the phone for consulting. I was living in Denver, and as the big sister, sometimes I can be a little bossy. So I would be calling her like, you need to do this and go to this account. And Natalie's response was, move to Fort Collins and help me, move to Fort Collins and help me. But I wasn't really ready to leave my job and my life in Denver. So once we decided to officially have the tap room, I decided to move up because I saw the incredible potential that our company had. And never did I think that we'd be working together as sisters while we're growing up. But it works out really well because Natalie is so great at the brewing and just with the flavor creation. And then I handle everything else. So
Literally
There it is.
everything else Hannah does. But we come from a family where our mother grew up working with her sister.
Oh, really?
Yes. So our family is entrepreneurs. They
What did your mom and your aunt do?
They owned movie theaters in Pennsylvania.
Oh, very nice.
yes.
Yes.
And they worked with our grandparents as well. So it's a long line of entrepreneurs. And I think that's where we kind of had the mindset that you can just do it if you want to.
Yeah, some people be mighty nervous going into business with their sibling or a family member.
Well, I
So-
can't say I'm still nervous some days.
Right.
It's
We
always
have a great time.
Yes, and it's always fun and interesting, and every day is different, and that's what I like. I don't think I could ever go back or would ever want to go back into a 9-to-5 job because I just really love like how much freedom I have and that I get to do everything and switch it up and work with Natalie and Natalie's 13-month-old son Everett every single day. So it's pretty fun.
Yes, and we get that honest feedback of sister to sister. There's no lies in our business.
Yes, certainly no mincing words.
Yeah.
Which might not always be the best.
Well, it gets the point across.
That's exactly the phrase I was going to say. You're not
Yeah.
afraid to mince words. but-
Yes. So we have a very special guest today. Our head brewer, my 13-month-old son, Everett, has just woken up from his nap and joined us on the podcast.
And he's enjoying a banana.
It's very exciting over
Currently.
here.
So we apologize for any odd sounds that might be taking place.
Oh, that's just Everett joining in.
Yeah.
Being part of the conversation.
Given his 2 cents.
That's right. So where did the name Turtle Mountain come from?
Turtle Mountain is a combination of my 3 favorite things. Growing up, we always had pet turtles, which was kind of different than other people's pets. And then we moved here because we love the mountains. So that was a very important part of the name as well. And then fermentary because we are all things fermented.
So Turtle Mountain. That's cool. I don't think I had a pet turtle, but I feel like that's something that I definitely don't see anymore. I don't know if that's just a cultural change or maybe it's less rural, but I feel like, yeah, people owning a turtle, at least for a little bit, used to be more common.
Well, it's also very interesting because we're from Pennsylvania and we had a house that was pretty close to the river. So we'd wake up and see 20 turtles sitting on a log and they'd be in all the streams and creeks. But actually in Colorado, the whole 7 years I've lived here, I don't think that I've seen more than 2 turtles. So they're not as common here in nature as well. So we're combining kind of Pennsylvania as well as Colorado. And Natalie always says it's really hard to name a business, but she picked 3 things that she would never grow tired of.
Hey, that's perfect. I like to hear the name and the meaning behind names because I feel like the phrase, if you can name it, it gives it power, is, very true sentiment for a lot of people's businesses as they start.
Yeah, and it created this really powerful image. I don't know if you've seen our logo, but it's, thankfully one of my favorite logos. But it's very bright. A lot of people's logos are like black and white or just have one color in them, but our logo has 5 colors and it's a mountain growing out of a turtle's shell, which is also like a Native American folk legend about how the earth was formed. So it just kind of also leads back into like the depth of mythology as well.
Yeah, that's neat. So how have things morphed now that you were just at farmers markets, your product was just in stores, and now you have this in-person tap room in addition?
Well, we've morphed into being insanely busy all the time. And time management has become really important to us. Learning how to delegate what is something that we're still constantly learning. Building a team of people that we trust to delegate things to. Because when we're not in the store, I'm the person that's consistently still thinking about the store. So I really like having a team that we trust. And I think that building the way that we built our wholesale clients, which is always wanting to have the best relationship with them, stopping in to visit our clients, that we've really built a nice rapport with the people who carry Turtle Mountain. So that makes the wholesale nice and fun getting to know our community. We've created a lot of friends as well through people that we sell to. And it's just been amazing seeing people from the farmers market coming into the tap room. So they all relate in a
yeah.
sense, because sometimes people will have our our kombucha at Odell
But we're
instead of a
having the
beer.
beer.
Oh, really? You're at Odell's?
Yeah, so we're at Odell, Horse and Dragon, a lot of breweries in town, but they'll see it there and then learn about our tap room and come in. So we're just finding that all three avenues really build to each other, and that we're able to reach a lot more people as well with the tap room.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned being in breweries because I get the brewery feel here. It's like you have everything on tap. You have this board where it has your flagships and you're rotating, and it just is a space that is very reminiscent of breweries, but it's a fermentory.
That was our dream when we were building the place, is to have it be a kombucha tap room and tasting room with the bar vibe. We wanted to create a place where people could come in, hang out, socialize, enjoy a flight, fill their growlers, but have it be all health centered and focused on wellness. So we've really found this niche in the community of people who maybe don't drink or taking a break from drinking. We learn a lot about different diets that are going on, like the Whole30 and keto and paleo. And we just have always wanted to have this space that isn't a tea house, but isn't a brewery, but is the combination of the two. So I'm really glad that you picked up on that vibe and that you're enjoying it as well, because we tried to create a cozy atmosphere. Our space is pretty tiny. We have seating for about 15 or 13 people depending, and sometimes it's packed in here. So
Yeah. And y'all even do flights as well, because for listeners who don't know, I sit here with 7 of your flavors, and we were talking just before we started recording that I think my favorite of the 7 would have to be the apple pie. That's my personal bias.
Yum. I love that one. That's actually the first flavor that we ever made, too. So it's
very
our
cool.
longest running.
It's the OG.
Yeah. Well, that and then our original, I guess, was the first one, but apple pie was the first one infused with herbs and fruits.
Yeah, people got to come in, try it. You got to try apple pie. It's Ivan's bias, but hey, it's my favorite. So for people who don't know, and I feel like a lot of the listeners in Northern Colorado are going to roll their eyes when I ask this question, because I feel like having a kombucha in your hand in 2019 is part of being Coloradan. But for people who may not know, why kombucha? Why fermented drinks?
There's actually a lot of people who don't know the answer to that question. People know that it's hip and it's good for you, but they don't know why.
They're just doing it because it's cool.
Which we don't blame them for.
Right,
We love that.
Yeah. Please continue.
Yeah. But the reason kombucha is good for you is because it's a live probiotic drink. So probiotics are great for your digestive tract, and your digestive tract affects your overall health. It has a low pH, so it boosts your immune system. So it helps to ward off colds and other infections that could come into our body as well. It also helps to pull stagnation out of our body with that kind of acidicness. So it just helps to keep everything moving in your body.
Very cool. And then as we sit here in the tap room, I see that there's some local art on the wall. How did you all start making these connections and decide that you wanted to hang local art?
Well, a lot of our friends are artists, which we've always just been as creatives that way. And so we've been lucky enough to have a lot of our friends hang their art in the tap room. But we do post an all call on our social media every 6 months or so as we try and rotate the art to keep it new and exciting for all of our returning customers to kind of spice up the space. We also have an area for local crafts. So we do like soaps, jewelry, dream catchers. And if anyone was interested, we're always like looking to add to that display as well.
Okay, so if we have any entrepreneurs, local artists, people who make things, crafts, then hey, maybe they could be starting to display here in Turtle Mountain.
Yeah, we love to help people display that don't have their own storefront, because for so long we were displaying through other people's storefront. So now that we have a space, we want to help as many people that don't have their own space to get out there and get views and get heard as well.
Yeah. So has anything been on your minds personally? Current steps or current quandaries within Turtle Mountain?
we're always thinking. I like to think that I never stop thinking about things until I fall asleep, and then I have dreams about work too. So...
Entrepreneur.
But when we're not thinking about work and growing the business, finding new accounts, and just continuing to grow, Natalie and I like to spend a lot of time outside. We do a hiking Monday, and we often get out and exploring the Front Range. So we're always planning trips, and as business owners, we have to plan a lot in advance. So or at least me, is continually thinking about what's coming next, how we're going to grow, and then how we're going to keep our work-life balance good, and that we get some of the balance and some of the fun and all the different things that we get to do. And if I may speak for Natalie, I would think that she's thinking about her son a lot.
Yes, definitely excited to spend some time with him outside this summer now that he's able to walk. And 13 months, he's starting to get his own little attitude, so I can't wait to take him hiking. We went hiking a lot last year, but actually have him do some of the hiking would be nice too.
Right. Yeah, so where do you all go on Mondays in the winter? Do you snowshoe, or you just kind of stick to more of the foothills, or?
We usually take Everett, so we haven't gone snowshoeing this year, but sometimes before we just had this big snow, we would get up the Pooter and around, but we're planning our next trip to Coyote Ridge and just some of the areas along the Front Range, like Devil's Backbone, Horsetooth Rock, and, the usual places. But we do like to explore when we hear of new places to go as well. So if you have any suggestions, let us know.
Always, but one current event, hot topic, is this mountain lion attack that just happened here in Horsetooth.
Oh my gosh. I was hiking that trail by myself the day before that happened.
The day before. Wow.
I definitely could not strangle a mountain lion.
Yeah.
So I am very thankful to be here and safe.
Which is why we like to go together a lot as well, too.
I think Hannah was busy that day. Yeah.
Right.
The 6 a.m. didn't work for me.
Yeah, I'll be very interested when they release this person's identity, because I want to know the person who can come away from that, pin a mountain lion, and strangle it. I mean, it's an unfortunate incident. People are saying, it's unfortunate that the mountain lion had to go, but, we're talking about human life. And it's just really fascinating to have this national event happen right here in our backyard, because when I go hiking, people ask me all the time, have you seen mountain lions? Have you seen bears? It's like, well, not really. I'm sure I'm being watched by mountain lions all the time. We're just not aware of them. And people from all over the country that I keep in contact with would like text me and say, oh my gosh, you hear about this? And I was like, yeah, actually I was working in Fort Collins that day. It's just it's fascinating.
It is insane, and it's crazy how it got picked up by the national news, because I feel like it's not that uncommon, or it didn't. I mean, the whole suffocation thing is a crazy story, but you expect it, something along the lines. But my friends from Philly were texting me, so I was surprised how national the whole thing got.
Yeah, it was like instant, too. It was that night. In fact, I had hardly heard of it before someone else from out of state contacted me.
Must have been a slow news day.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think people are interested by that kind of thing for one reason or another. Yeah. I mean, coming from Oklahoma, we don't have mountain lion attacks. That's not something that could be on local news, and so I think it draws a lot of people's attention. But here we're like, oh, mountain lion. You see the signs at trailheads. You know that's a thing out here. It's a risk.
Yeah, and maybe you don't think it's like applicable to you. Like, I never thought that could happen to me when I was out there on that same trail.
It's true.
But then hearing about it, it's just kind of instilled a new fear in me, and I don't think I'm going to be going hiking by myself anytime soon. So Hannah, you better be clearing your 6 a.m. schedule.
Have those Mondays ready.
Yeah, I'm prepared now.
Yeah. I noticed that your tap room had somewhat limited hours compared to possibly other places. Was there any logic behind that, or just like those were the times you felt like would work best for people?
For us, since our tap room is located right in front of our brewery area and there's not a wall separating them, we wanted to have our specific days to make the product. As you're familiar, sauerkraut, kombucha can have a potent smell to it. So as we're bottling and different kegging in the back, we don't want the distraction of that sound going on. So when the tap room's open, we're not producing anything. We're focused 100% on the tap room. So for us, the Thursday to Sunday seem the most approachable hours to our community as well. And on the weekend, we're definitely not producing. The hours almost set themselves in a sense.
Right, just what you felt you all needed and what your customers would want.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, we always take Mondays off, so it's really nice for us to have one day that's dedicated to being off. And it's also nice for us that it's not on a weekend, because we just have more time to do things on a Monday. And it makes Mondays not so bad here at Turtle Mountain.
Right.
We love Mondays.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people, that's a harsh reality coming back from a nice weekend, but you all ease into it. And
Yeah, Tuesdays. Not so great.
Okay, so Tuesday's that wall
Yes.
that you run into.
Yeah.
So do you all drink as much kombucha now that you run and think about a kombucha company 24/7?
We drink so much kombucha.
Some
I
more.
would say I drink at least a full-size growler, 64 ounces of kombucha a day, if not more, depending on how much I'm brewing, sampling, and then depending how much I like the flavors that are on tap. Sometimes I'll finish off a keg.
Sometimes I have to remind myself to drink water while I'm at work. While kombucha is not dehydrating, not drinking water is dehydrating. So it doesn't matter how much kombucha you're drinking. But I even bring growlers home and drink it at home, share it with my roommates. So working here has definitely not stopped me from drinking kombucha. And as Natalie's making all these new fun flavors, as she mentioned, it's always fun to just try them and continue drinking. Even Everett drinks kombucha.
There it is.
Everett started drinking kombucha when he was about 3 months old, and he loves it.
Yes, he is doing something here. Not sure. Yeah, you all realize with the amount of kombucha that you're ingesting that you've probably started some form of conscious universe in your stomachs with the amount of probiotics you have going on in there.
I think so. And I would like to say, knock on wood, we haven't been sick in a long time. Everyone gets a little cold, this and that, but I do think the amount of fermented vegetables and kombucha, I'm obviously a true believer that it does keep your digestive system extremely healthy, and that is such a main part of your overall health.
Yeah. So the host here recommended the apple pie. What about you all? Someone stops in or they find Turtle Mountain at one of their favorite breweries. What do you suggest people try first?
The favorite is always rotating. Obviously, we love our original strength, our plain kombucha right out of brewing into the keg. Favorite flavors are really dependent on the day.
And the weather.
This is a really hard recommendation for people.
Yes, very hard.
Drink the Hawaiian infusion or the lavender grape. Those are our two most popular flavors. However, all are great. So if you want to go for a wild card with the rosemary or a cranberry spice, you're definitely not going wrong.
Right.
I don't know. The sunrise ginger might be my favorite.
I forgot about sunrise ginger. It's insanely good.
And sageberry.
So when y'all do the rotating, how do you get those rotating and temporary variants into other places? You just drop them off and say, hey, we got this for you this time.
So we brew taproom exclusive flavors. We distribute 8 flavors, and those don't change. But the cucumber, grapefruit, mango, basil, you're not going to find those anywhere else besides our taproom. So those are experimental ones that we do in here. Some of them recur, some of them are one and done. So you just got to stop in and see what's on the board that week.
Our process is definitely a lot of experimentation and putting the flavors out first at farmers markets and the tap room before we distribute them. So those 8 flavors that we do distribute, we've been distributing for a long time, and they're all almost equally popular. For our clients, they have the whole list. We have some clients that order the same flavors over and over so that their customers always know what's there. And then we have some clients who switch it up every time. And then, like you said, some clients are like, just bring me whatever you have, because they know that any flavor will be good and popular. So it really just depends on the client, what they're ordering. And in the tap room, it depends on Natalie and what she's making, what we have in stock, what's new, what's going on, and how crafty she's feeling.
Yeah. So anything on the horizon or anything we should close out for our listeners here to know about Turtle Mountain?
We are definitely focusing on events this year, so you'll want to be continuing to see what's going on at the tap room. Actually, this evening we have our first ever blindfold kombucha taste-off, where the winner will be winning a free growler, and it's going to be really fun. We'll have 5 flavors, and everyone will be blindfolded, as you can imagine.
Hence the name.
Yes, precisely. So we're doing lots of fun events and really just trying to be part of the community, participating in all sorts of stuff this summer, and doing samplings throughout the community as well. So you can just keep a look for us at new breweries and different places around Fort Collins as we continue to grow.
And if people want to know the events, what's best? Facebook, website?
Facebook and Instagram, 100%. That's a great idea. I'll put them on our website.
There it is. Okay, well, thank you both very much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank
we really
you for having
appreciate
us.
I have some shout-outs for a couple people who make this show live and breathe, making it all possible. Trevor Fossey edits, mixes, and EQs our episodes, putting the time in behind the scenes. Russell Isaac Long provides us with the wonderful music that greets and departs all our episodes here at the NoCo. It's people like these two who have made this show possible, and I thank you both very much. To stay connected with the NoCo, follow us on Instagram or Facebook at the NoCo. Original, right? Don't worry, listener. We will be back soon with another episode featuring another person or a group of people. Thank you to everyone out there for listening and supporting the show and bringing our community together. Until next time, peace!